The migrant crisis in New York City taking another turn tonight. Families, some with children, arrived by bus at the massive shelter at Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn earlier today, but most of those families didn't like what they saw and refused to stay there. Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon has more from Floyd Bennett Field in Marine Park.
Disappointment and frustration as migrant families turned around after arriving at the Floyd Bennett Field shelter, dragging luggage and getting back on buses, some saying no one told them they were coming here. Others, like this mom, saying it was just too far from the schools where their kids have been going in Manhattan and the Bronx. I'm grateful for what they've given me, she says, but I can't stay here.
This is not, the best conditions.
Late tonight, the mayor paid a visit, posting a video to social media.
And you cannot say any better that we need help.
Most of the families arriving on buses this afternoon chose not to stay, but the city says this is all it's got right now, and refusing it means foregoing any shelter from New York City.
All right, guys, so once again, we got to talk about the illegal immigration crisis that is destroying these Democrat-run liberal cities that have declared themselves sanctuary cities. But all of a sudden, when they get what they asked for, when they get what they voted for, now they don't want the illegal immigrants anymore. Although some of these cities like New York and Chicago have rolled out the red carpet for illegal immigrants because by law, right, the laws that they set, that they voted for in their cities, they have to do that for the illegals. Again, I'm assuming that they never anticipated that the illegals would actually be coming there in the numbers that they're coming, but they are. And now the illegals have gotten uppity, right? They've gotten real uppity about their expectations from these liberal cities in regards to taking care of them. Remember, New York City was allowing the illegals to stay in 3 and 4 and 5-star hotels, feeding them every day, giving them health care. I mean, again, they got red carpet treatment that our homeless veterans and people on the street, like actual Americans, could only dream of, right? They never got that type of treatment before, right? But the illegals who pay nothing into the system, again, they got red carpet treatment, in some parts of the country. And now the illegals, again, as I've told you guys, have gotten kind of uppity, and they are rejecting staying in the migrant camps that have been set up for them, particularly in New York City, as basically they're saying, no, we're too good to stay at this facility that you set up for us. We're refusing to stay here. We're going to go somewhere else. Take a look.
We're at Floyd Bennett Field. To be clear, there were several families who got off an MTA bus, walked inside a facility, and they are currently there tonight. But there were other parents who got off, took a look around, and decided this was not the place for them. They in turn boarded another bus and were dropped off at a train station, effectively relinquishing their stay in the shelter system. A migrant mother saying, quote, it's too far for them to get to their studies. They go to school on 59th Street in Manhattan. One of several migrant families who arrived Sunday at the Floyd Bennett Field tent facility in Brooklyn, unwilling to stay here. I am very grateful for everything that they've given us, she says, but we can't stay here. I have 4 kids with asthma. It's too far. They didn't tell us anything. It's a new facility, but we never thought it was here. Governor Kathy Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams confirmed late last month families would indeed be transferred here to live temporarily in a congregate setting. MTA buses with the first 24 or so migrant families began arriving at the gate just after noon on Sunday. A mayoral spokesperson telling Pix 11 News, quote, with more than 65,600 migrants still currently in our care and thousands more continuing to arrive every week, we have used every possible corner of New York City and are quite simply out of good options to shelter migrants. The spokesperson goes on to say, quote, no municipality should be left to manage a national crisis almost entirely on its own. It's not fair to asylum seekers, and it's not fair to longtime New Yorkers.
Will these people be taking away opportunities that the American people should be having first?
Critics, from residents to elected officials and the Legal Aid Society, all disagreed with this housing plan then as they do now.
I commend those migrants for leaving this place because it's such an unfit place for them to be staying.
New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams arrived Sunday evening after hearing about the families who declined to stay.
They definitely need allies on this. So if people are trying to help you out, you shouldn't deny them access. If everything is going well, let me talk to a couple of families and then I'll be on my way.
Williams was eventually let inside the facility. He says he spoke with some families who told him they were not aware they were being bused here. As for the families who declined their stay and have given up their beds at this facility, on this chilly night, it's unclear where they'll be sleeping.
Yeah, so you're seeing that, you heard that. Again, the illegals have gotten extremely uppity, right? They've gotten too good to stay at these migrant facilities, these multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded migrant facilities that have been set up for them to have a roof over their head and some warmth and shelter during the winter. Again, they got too used to the 3 to 4 to 5-star hotels, and now they refuse to stay anywhere that does not meet that level of service. You got one woman claiming that, well, I can't stay here because my kids go to school in the middle of Manhattan. And I'm like, do you know how much it costs to live in the middle of Manhattan? Right? In order to live in the middle of Manhattan, you're probably going to be paying at least $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month for like a place where you have the bare minimum. Okay. But again, that is the expectations that these illegal immigrants have. That's how uppity they've gotten, right? They've gotten too good for just the basics, right? They've gotten too good for it. So again, imagine allegedly coming from a place like Venezuela that is, extremely poor and impoverished, okay, where you are living in conditions that are not good, right? Who knows if you have a roof over your head? If you do have a roof over your head, who knows if you have like air conditioning? You know, you're getting food, you're getting all of the basics that you need to have a decent life. Again, imagine coming from a place like that, allegedly crossing Central America, right? Jungles and all types of crazy stuff, dealing with cartels, coming all the way to America for a better life just to get to America, have taxpayers spend multi-millions of dollars on housing you, feeding you, you and your kids, just for you to reject it and say, I'm too good for this, right? I deserve more than this, okay? I'm entitled to more. Again, it's amazing. You can't make this stuff up. I did a story not too long ago about some of the migrant advocates, the illegal immigrant advocates in Chicago, comparing Brandon Johnson to Hitler for setting up migrant camps for the illegals, right? For trying to help them out. Again, this is why they should be deported, right? This is why you should send them back, because at this point, nothing will ever be good enough, okay? Some of them are simply ungrateful. Some of them would actually rather be in Venezuela than some parts of the country like Chicago, right? And that's why some of them are deporting themselves back to Venezuela, okay? Because they can't handle the Chicago cold. They would rather be in Venezuela than to freeze their ass off in Chicago. You can't make this stuff up. So again, they're actually getting a one-way trip back to Venezuela, right? Because they can't stand Chicago. It's pretty crazy stuff. Let's read here. Chicago migrants are beginning to move back to Venezuela as the city runs out of resources to house and support illegal immigrants. The Chicago Tribune reported on the account of Michael Castiglione, who immigrated with his wife and stepdaughter from Venezuela to find a better life. However, after several months, the family suffered from homelessness and lack of job opportunities and no access to better education. By early November, they had requested tickets back to their home country. Quote, the American dream doesn't exist anymore. Castiglione said, quote, there's nothing here for us. Now, here's the thing. To a certain extent, he's right. We're dealing with hyperinflation. Okay, or damn near what could have been hyperinflation, right? We've been dealing with very high inflation, right? Historically high inflation for us. Okay, we're dealing with crime. We're dealing with a debt crisis. Yeah, we don't have anything here, right? I mean, again, Americans are struggling. So imagine bringing in illegals people who don't even pay taxes and trying to take care of them when we can't even take care of ourselves. That's the whole point we've been trying to make the whole time, is that no, we don't have resources to pass around, right? Despite what Brandon Johnson is talking about, we don't have the resources to share. That's why you have so many people that are revolting against this, because they're like, yo, we're struggling. How can we give out money to take care of other people? We can't even take care of ourselves, right? So again, we're going to struggle along with the illegals, right? Because again, there's just not enough resources. Resources are finite. Again, they're learning this the hard way. So again, apparently Chicago is so bad that they'd rather live in Venezuela, right? Amazing. They're deporting themselves, okay? This is amazing stuff. The report suggested that Castiglione was not the only migrant who felt that way. As the city grows colder, many are requesting tickets to other cities or even other countries to avoid sleeping on the streets during the winter. Quote, how many months of living in the streets will it take? No more. It's better that I leave. At least I have my mother back home. Castiglione said, hey, I agree 100%. I'm right there with you, bruh. I'm right there with you. And I don't even mind them paying for your ticket to go back, right? You just got to stay. You can't come back when it get warm, when you think that you're going to, get better up. Nah, you can't come back. Once you get that ticket, you instant deportation if you try to come back, right? Instant deportation. Okay. You give up your right to asylum, right? You give that up. You give it up. Some migrants suggested that they had been misled to believe they could be granted asylum immediately and perhaps receive a work permit. Others acknowledge the sheer numbers of illegal immigrants overwhelming the city has likely depleted resources. Quote, we didn't know things would be this hard, Castiglione said. I thought the process was faster. City officials reported that Chicago had received more than 19,000 migrants since August of 2022. In addition, over 68,000 Chicago citizens are experiencing homelessness. As the migrant crisis grew worse, local leaders began debating Chicago's status as a sanctuary city for migrants. Yeah, again, that's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Chicago, right? You got a lot of tensions that are rising, okay? People getting hurt out here because they don't want to keep giving their resources to illegals. Quote, we're spending a lot of money every single day. Ninth Ward Alderman Anthony Beale said during a Chicago City Council meeting in November, quote, I think up to $40 million a month, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, $40 million a month, and the illegals aren't even appreciative of it, right? Some of them don't even appreciate it, right? Because they're entitled. They think that they deserve more than, what they actually paid into the system, which is nothing, right? They paid nothing into the system, and they feel like they deserve the world. Again, this is amazing stuff. In the meantime, the city has been forced to house migrants at O'Hare Airport, police stations, and even youth sports fields. Many others have been forced into the streets despite freezing temperatures. Quote, we just want to be home, Castiglione said. If we're going to be sleeping in the streets here, we'd rather be sleeping in the streets over there. Wow, that says a lot about Chicago. Again, I thought Chicago was a shithole, but I didn't think it was as bad as Venezuela, okay? Which, I mean, hey, not surprised, because that is the direction of these Democrat-run cities, right? They're definitely going into the direction of, Venezuela, because of the Democrats that are running the cities into the dirt, right? And it's not just me that believes that. Even the illegals believe that. They actually lived in Venezuela. They're like, oh, well, I'd rather be in Venezuela than Chicago. It's terrible. Okay, it really says something about the state of these liberal cities when even the illegals can't stand living there. They don't even want to be there, right? They're like, I'd rather sleep on the streets in Venezuela than in Chicago. Amazing stuff. It really is. But hey, I can't say I don't support the self-deportation. I want to see a lot more of it, right? And if this is what it takes, this is what it takes. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.